Ayahuasca is a traditional Amazonian brew made from plants containing DMT and natural MAO inhibitors. For centuries, it has been used in different Amazonian contexts, but only recently has it become a subject of interest in psychology, neuroscience, and mental health research. Today, we examine the history of ayahuasca, its evolution into structured ceremonial practice, and how it eventually entered the field of scientific investigation. Ayahuasca is primarily prepared using two plants, Psychotria viridis, which contains the psychedelic compound DMT, and Banisteriopsis caapi, a vine rich in β-carbolines, such as harmon, harmaline, and tetrahydroharmone. These β-carbolines act as reversible monoamine oxidase inhibitors, allowing DMT to become orally active when both plants are consumed together. This pharmacological interaction results in a profound alteration of consciousness and emotional processing, a phenomenon that later attracted clinical interest from researchers in psychology and psychiatry. The use of ayahuasca predates written history and is found throughout the upper Amazon basin. Rather than originating from a single culture, it appears to have emerged through centuries of exchange among indigenous groups in Brazil, Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador. Anthropological research shows that ayahuasca ceremonies serve multiple social functions, including community cohesion, emotional healing, ecological knowledge transmission, and conflict mediation. Scientifically, what stands out is not the meaning attributed to the experience, but how structured interpersonal support, preparation, and post-session interpretation resemble components found in modern psychotherapy. In the early 20th century, migration to the Amazon due to the rubber extraction industry brought people from different regions of Brazil in contact with indigenous ayahuasca practices. Among these migrants was Raimundo Irineu Serra, later referred to as Mestre Irineu, an Afro-Brazilian man born in Maranhão. After encountering ayahuasca among indigenous peoples, he developed a structured community-based ritual that eventually became known as Santo Daime. Unlike many non-codified traditional uses, Santo Daime introduced repeatable ceremonial structures with clear behavioral guidelines, group participation, standardized preparation, specific post-experience interpretation practices, and communal support. Although Santo Daime is a religious system, psychology can observe its relevance in creating predictable settings, consistent support, and symbolic processing, elements that resemble, without replacing, psychotherapeutic framework. This repeatability later allowed researchers to examine the psychological effects of ayahuasca under more stable conditions. Modern research began with chemical studies. DMT was first isolated in 1931 and later detected in human tissue in the 1960s. However, ayahuasca itself remained largely unexplored scientifically until the late 20th century, when observational studies in Brazil and Peru began documenting emotional, behavioral, and social effects among long-term users. These studies did not analyze spirituality, but rather psychological outcomes such as anxiety levels, emotional regulation, memory processing, and reduction in substance misuse. In the last 2 decades, clinical studies have observed that, in supervised environments, a single session of ayahuasca can rapidly reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety. Randomized, double-blind studies have demonstrated significant improvements within 24 hours after ingestion, with effects lasting days or weeks. These outcomes appear related to reductions in rumination, enhanced emotional openness, and changes in brain networks associated with self-referential processes. Despite promising results, ayahuasca is not a standardized treatment, and long-term effects, individual vulnerabilities, and ethical safeguards require systematic evaluation. For this reason, modern research emphasizes preparation, clinical screening, and post-experience integration. Contemporary psychology does not view ayahuasca as therapy itself, but as a potential catalyst for therapeutic processes when accompanied by clinical support. The altered state is not the intervention, The meaning constructed afterwards within a professional framework is what determines its therapeutic relevance. The central question for psychologists is therefore not only what ayahuasca induces, but how individuals integrate the experience within a therapeutic context. Ayahuasca has moved from indigenous knowledge to structured ritual forms, and now into scientific investigation. Psychology seeks to understand how altered states of consciousness, when used ethically and clinically, may contribute to mental health. Its future in research depends on rigorous protocols, ethical respect, and collaboration between science and structured contexts of use. We have some important considerations. The psychedelic therapy is not appropriate for everyone. Medical screening, psychological assessment, and professional supervision are essential for safety and efficacy. These substances carry risks when used improperly or without appropriate support. The research we discuss involves controlled clinical settings with trained professionals, vastly different from unguided or recreational use. You can support our work. The future of mental health treatment may be profoundly transformed by psychedelic research, but only if we approach it with scientific rigor, ethical responsibility, and genuine care for those suffering. Join us as we explore the science behind these remarkable compounds. Together, we can separate evidence from hype and advance mental health care for those who need it most. Please contact us to find out how you can help support our research.